Yeah, welcome to Coffee Break, DMAC. It's Jake Shapiro and DMAC. We're having some technical difficulties out from the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But big breaking news to start the show. The Denver Nuggets have just made a trade. DMAC and I are at all the games, so we wanted
Yep.
to get to it first on Coffee Break presented by Bath Fitter. Bath Fitters. DMAC, what do you make of this Nuggets trade? Obviously, it seemed like they had to make some moves, especially after last night's big news.
Well, I'll let you just. Why don't you just set it up? Why don't you explain who went where and for what, and we can go from there.
Yeah, so essentially, Kevin Durant was traded from the Brooklyn Nets and out of a situation that was derailing to the Phoenix Suns for 4 first-round draft picks and what I think are two of their best players in Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. They also lost Jay Crowder, who's subsequently been flipped to the Milwaukee Bucks. The
Okay.
Denver Nuggets this morning have now moved 3 second-round picks, Davon Reed, who is the 15th man off their bench, for
Yeah.
Thomas Bryant, who we saw very recently in Denver, is a really solid center, good offensive piece, can kind of do it all, and actually kind of caught your eye, D-Mac.
Thomas Bryant averages 12 points a game. He's played in 41 of the Lakers games. He averages all close to 7 rebounds and shoots over 65%. Jake, each one of those numbers is better than Zeke Naji. And Zeke is suffering from a shoulder sprain right now. He's had injuries. I like Zeke quite a bit, but think about how much emphasis they put on Zeke gaining weight, Jake. And Brian is just naturally a bigger, stronger guy, period. I thought it might be Mason Plumlee. Okay, fine, it's not. And the ultimate thing is, do you have a banger inside when Jokic is out during the playoffs? Do you have somebody that can bring the heat like that and is not going to be distracting? Brian is 25 years of age. I like the deal. I like the deal a lot. I thought again, I thought it might be Mason Plumlee, but okay, fine. It's not. It's Brian, and I'm okay with it. Even though it's a name that a lot of people might not be familiar with. What they can do now, which is really interesting, we'll see what happens. Now you can flip Bones Highland for draft picks, Jake. You don't need a player in return. And even though it was very much on the down low, we actually did talk about Reed being a tradable prospect in as much that it wouldn't disrupt the chemistry. Nice guy, but don't forget, he was like a 10-day contract guy who was like a survivor because the Nuggets were just in a perilous position. Nothing against Reed, good dude and all that, but hardly critical, doesn't upset their chemistry, and you bring in a big. It's a wake up call for Zeke Naji, no doubt about it. And listen, DeAndre Jordan's just a coach. He's a mentor, coach sort of guy. They really like him though, and there's no reason to get rid of him for this year because of other things he adds. I think if they trade Bones to get back some of the draft capital, I think we could call this a home run day. I still don't think Bones fits in with everything else they've got going on. I don't think this saves Bones. But Jake, I don't know, man. It's been an interesting ride over the past 10 days with Bones, right? Like we thought for sure he was gone. And over the past couple games, it feels like they'd be all right with him. I mean, all right. But they needed a more functional player for sure, and they got it with Brian.
I'm gonna just have you move back your camera back a little bit, DMAC. We're getting the super close up
We
again.
don't want that, Jake. We definitely tell me when to stop.
You can keep going. Keep going.
Oh,
We were
keep
really
going.
close, DMAC.
Oh my God. I mean, how far away can I get? How's that right there?
That's good. That's good. You're looking good.
Yeah,
But
no, I don't like the super close up thing either, Jake. Trust me.
yeah,
That's
so
not good for anybody.
but what is good for the Denver Nuggets is that they are making some of these moves, and we talked about them needing a wing, perhaps a bigger player. And Thomas Bryant is maybe a big who can play next to and instead of Nikola Jokic, which is something they've needed most of this Nikola Jokic era. They haven't had a backup center that could play on the floor with him. Thomas Bryant's actually shooting 44% from three this year. He's only shot, a three or two a game, so it's not that much of a volume.
Yeah.
But he has been a really solid offensive player. Now, I don't think he's the defensive stopper the Nuggets thought they needed. I think Zeke Naji might still be that guy in most situations. But like you said, Bryant's a little bulkier. He's only really going to be out there 10, maybe 12 minutes a night in the postseason. And you just need those minutes to not even go well, not even go even, but to only maybe exchange 2 points, 4 points to the other team each time he's in there. And I think it's a win-win. And Bryant has been a very solid player for the Lakers. They moved for former Nugget Jared Vanderbilt yesterday in a D'Angelo Russell trade. So, not really a spot for Bryant anymore. But what I will say to you, DMAC, is we kind of, put our hats on and figure out what might happen next in before this afternoon. Davon Reed was an easily movable piece for the Denver Nuggets because he didn't impact chemistry and he wasn't playing. Zeke Naji now maybe turns into that guy because they have Bryant. You've already mentioned Bones Highland. Now, you did mention DeAndre Jordan, and I want to throw Ish Smith into this category. DeAndre and Ish are kind of hard to move because you want those veteran presence, and they're not honestly bad third string point guards to have. So, do you expect the Nuggets to maybe make another move? You alluded to a Bones trade, but maybe something that does impact the roster, and what would they still look at?
I doubt it. I think the only other move they would make at this point is for draft picks, draft compensation, and that's that. You know, the chemistry of this team is excellent, and you got to watch out how many moving pieces you actually mess with here. You know, Zeke's a very well liked guy too. So, I mean, we're just going to have to try to figure things out a little bit. It was interesting talking to Michael Porter Jr. after the last game, and he said, listen, the guys who were playing against Minnesota during when the Nuggets got blown out, it's not that they were bad players, it's they weren't used to playing together. And even if you think of the Avalanche last year, especially with Josh Manson, it's sometimes, Jake, just hard to fit in chemistry wise in terms of, where I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to do it, all that sort of thing. So I just want to give a heads up. Everybody's freaking out. You should see how despondent my guy Raj is walking around with his Nuggets jersey today, like his old school Mutombo. There's like Nuggets fans that are just so depressed right now because of Durant, okay? And they're so bummed out. And what I would caution everybody is chemistry matters, okay? And at the end of the day, all right, maybe these teams got a little bit better offensively. I mean, Kevin Durant's a world-class player. But so is Mikal Bridges that they gave up. I mean, he's a great player too. And Durant's in his mid-30s and coming off an injury. I think Davis is like toast. I mean, that guy, he doesn't like have any energy for what he's doing these days, and he's always injured. I'm not afraid of the Lakers whatsoever. The Suns, I don't know, man. I mean, do you think they trade? Let me ask you a question. Do you think they dump Chris Paul? Or do you think they keep Chris Paul today?
I think it makes sense with their new owner to now keep Chris Paul given their situation and make a run at it for this year. But Chris Paul has been a shell of himself and has been honestly not good most of this season. I just don't see what they're going to get better on their roster than the potential for Chris Paul. I know you guys are going to talk more KD stuff here in a second with Rachel, but what I will say is Raj has a right to feel bad. And the Nug life thing that has affected all of us Nuggets fans our whole life, like that's real. Like there's always something that happens that affects the Nuggets negatively. But what I want to do is not panic people into saying, hey, the Nuggets need to go get that guy in response to them getting the other guy. The Nuggets have something awesome. And as you're alluding to, DMAC, you almost don't want to make a move to mess up with the awesomeness in any sort of way, even if in theory it works out better on paper with whatever guy you're getting. So I really like what the Nuggets have. I like adding to the fringes of this roster, which trading your 15th man and 3 second-round picks for a backup center is the fringes of your roster. And I say, you just got to bank on your health and move into the postseason.
I agree. It's a hey, this is actually a little bit more impactful trade than I thought they were going to make. It really is, and I think second, it's so funny about second round picks. Of course, you don't want to dismiss them because that's where you got Jokic. But I mean, in general, second round picks in the NBA are, kind of like whatever. You probably want to get some of that capital back. So I think this gives you more flexibility for Bones. Like you don't have to get a player now. You just have to get a couple of those seconds back. And listen, I think there's a lot of teams that may want Bones Highland for a couple of second round picks, Jake.
And it's, let
That's
me
something
let me
better.
say, DMAC, it's really a lot easier to trade second rounders, and that's why you're seeing the Milwaukee Bucks trade 5 today. You're
Yeah.
seeing teams trade 4 or 5 second rounders because there's a rule in the NBA CBA that you can't trade first round picks in consecutive years. Which, if you trade your 2024 pick, now you can't trade a pick till 2026. So if you do 2 first round picks, now you can't trade a pick till 2027. there's not that rule with second rounders, making them a lot easier to deal, which is why you're seeing these smart maneuvers like this. And I do want to update on the Bryant contract. Bryant is a free agent after this year, but the Nuggets can offer him more money. They can offer him a mid-level exception. He's in a similar situation to Bruce Brown,
Okay.
but Bryant does not have the same, cachet as Bruce Brown does. So the Nuggets should be fine on that part. But yeah, we're looking at a guy who could be the Nuggets backup center for the next couple of years. I don't think any of us care about what happens a couple of years from now. I think we're all just focused on now and say, hey, this is a nice offensive piece off the bench. They've
Yeah.
got defense more or less covered, and I think he can be decent on defense.
What I like about Bryant too is that he was a core second unit guy for the Lakers, averaging 21.4 minutes a game. Okay, so this is not some scrub. Oh, Reed, no offense to Reed, he's an NBA player. Reed was an NBA scrub. Okay, and Bryant's not. So cool. I'm happy. I'm fine. I'm actually really happy with it. I like it, and we'll see. Gosh, Jake, what if they do just keep Bones? That'll be fascinating if they end up keeping Bones. Now, what do you do? I mean, does that become a headache? I know things have been kumbaya for the last couple of games because I think everybody's been saying their goodbyes. I think everybody's been kind of like, hey man, all right, you're leaving anyways. Let's be nice. I mean, Jake, what do you think if Bones does stay? Does the sort of the attitude and the poutiness and all that stuff come back too if he's not playing?
It's a great question, and it's a question I want to really know the answer to the next few weeks is if Bones Highland does not get traded, at what point does Michael Malone start playing him again? Does it happen right after the trade deadline, literally tonight, because they're not risking anything anymore with him potentially going down? Or is this going to play out, and do we potentially see some negative energy coming in the future? I think that's one of the biggest storylines to watch here the last 60 days here before the NBA playoffs begin. Thomas Bryant, to your point, started 25 games this year, so he is no scrub, and the Lakers are probably going to be a playoff team. So
Oh, so he
we're going to
wait,
be looking at
so
that.
he Jake, he played in 41, but I didn't know that. He started 25?
He started 25 games for the Lakers, and they've all
Wow.
been basically in a row. So he started the season as a bench guy, but since then he's become their starter, especially with Anthony Davis hurt for most of the
Wow.
season. So
Hey,
he's
that's
been
a
nice.
good hey Jake, that's a good trade, dude. I mean, it's
Hmm.
I really didn't know much about him. I just know more about Plumlee. But like when we were talking about things, I said Plumlee, well, you get my gist, right? Like that type of guy. So okay,
Right.
cool, man. That's awesome. I mean, I
Yeah.
it feels like a great trade right now. It feels like it's getting better and better as we speak about it. And it's just like I mean, 4 first round picks for Kevin Durant. And I love, hey, how much do you know about Matt Ishbia?
A decent amount.
Did you see the Real Sports story on him on HBO about Ishbia? All
No.
right, I highly recommend people go watch that. Listen, this guy has a lot of energy. He became a billionaire because he took over his father's home mortgage business and he built it into this crazy successful sort of environment. He was the last man on the bench for Michigan State for 4 years or maybe 3 years, something like that. He actually did play in a national championship game because Michigan State kind of, won relatively easily and they put him in for like the last minute or so. I think he missed a layup or something along those lines. But I'll tell you this about Ishbia. He's a spaz, okay? He's a rah-rah, spazzy sort of dude. So I think this was his first day taking over the team that he made this deal. It's a spazzy deal, okay? It's a freak out deal. It's made by a guy who's a spazzy dude who has a lot of energy, who wanted to make a big splash. And man, have we seen big splash mega all-star teams implode over the years. So, props to Matt Ishbia for getting everybody's attention on the first day of school. But making spazzy moves in the NBA, I don't think it leads to long term success. I think that's exactly what this is. I'm not bothered by it whatsoever. It's not like we haven't seen Kevin Durant before. I mean, he played for Oklahoma City forever. He's played for the Golden State Warriors. It's like, hey, I get it. It's a great player. That's him. I'm actually more concerned, and Luka didn't play last night, so we'll see how they get along, Kyrie and Luka. I'm a little bit more freaked out about Dallas being kind of quirky, really good team, a little bit dangerous than I am Phoenix. But I know the bookmakers. Jake, I don't know if you saw it, but holy cow. All of a sudden, Phoenix goes behind Boston in terms of winning the championship, according to our great friends at Superbook Sports. So Superbook Sports, all of a sudden, I think they have the Nuggets fourth, and they put the Suns up to second behind the Celtics in terms of odds. So I'm here to tell you this: awesome, awesome. If you like the Nuggets, this is good news, top to bottom. Not only on the court, but perhaps in your wallet too.
Yeah, let me just say real quick, the deal might raise the ceiling for these teams, a couple of the spazzy trades we've seen, but it also raises the opportunity for chaos and trouble down the line, which sounds a little like hot water, DMAC. And we're about to go in hot water as you guys further discuss the Kevin Durant trade.
In Hot Water, presented by Bath Fitters. What up, everybody? We are live from Arizona. I'm here. We made it. Radio Row is a little crazy. DMAC, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's great. Are you keeping your voice down, Rachel? Are you trying to stay in the right mood?
Yes, so we are by the media workroom. Radio Row, we couldn't get connected. It was a madhouse. I don't know what we were expecting. Maybe we weren't expecting that. So we're by the lovely media room up
Okay.
here. But we are
All right.
excited because obviously there's huge stuff. Am I really that quiet?
No, you're fine. You look great. You sound great.
Okay.
It's I can just tell.
I was like, wow, I'm not talking that quiet.
I can just tell you're in a spot where you just gotta be just a little. I've been there. I understand it, and you look fantastic. And how's Phoenix? How's it treating you?
It is good. It's really good. Yeah, it's been different than I thought, but also it's been exciting, right? There's kind of a lot of things I'm having to figure out on the fly. Obviously, like making sure coffee break gets out, that's always an important thing, but we're here. We're going in hot water too, DMAC, because obviously we have to talk about the trade that completely blew everyone away really late last night, and that was that Kevin Durant was getting traded to the Phoenix Suns. So we're actually trying to figure out if we can, if there's anything happening with the Suns down here in Arizona today, because I'm literally right across the street from their arena. Yeah. So stay up to date on that, denversports.com. But in hot water, does that mean that the Nuggets are now in hot water with the Suns? Could they possibly come in and, make a run for this championship that so many people are already locked in with this Nuggets saying, hey, I think this is the time for them?
Well, you got Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, and now Kevin Durant, and whoever else they want to start. I mean, that's a good lineup if everybody's healthy and everybody's playing well together. The one advantage that the Nuggets have, so they had this guy, Thomas Bryant, right? Well, he's a, bench guy. He'll work in with the second unit, period. The deal with Durant, yeah, of course, he's a world-class, amazing player, right? But how is he going to fit in with everybody else? How is that going to mesh? Listen, Rachel, we've seen superstar talent with the Lakers recently implode. We just saw James Harden, KD, and Kyrie Irving with the Nets. Where'd that go? I mean, that imploded. It's not a magic pill. So are the Nuggets in hot water? I'd say no. I'd say chemistry. I'd say the water's fine. The water's comfortable for the Nuggets. It's temperate. It's probably nicer than the water James Marilat jumped in yesterday. I'm not bothered by it at all. There are a lot of Nuggets fans freaking out here in Denver today, Rachel. I've seen them. I've talked to them. Just relax. It's going to be all right.
You have to trust in Jokic for sure. But Kevin Durant does bring a new level to this team for sure. And I mean, obviously when he was with the Warriors and won MVP, I want to make sure that I'm getting that correct, but I'm 99.9% sure he did win MVP that year. I was going to look it up before the show, but then we ran into some technical difficulties. I'm sure Jake's going to let me know in the back end here. But he had also a superstar staff around him, it felt like, and I'm not trying to disregard Devin Booker or anybody like that, but I do think that the Nuggets have more depth than the Suns do, even though they still have the big names there.
It's a great lineup in Phoenix. I'm not going to denigrate it or speak poorly about it. I just believe in the Nuggets, and the Nuggets certainly will have home courts. And if Suns and Four guy wants to come back for a reunion, I'd say, come on in, buddy. The water's fine. You want to bring your jersey and Suns and Four and your attitude, I'd say we welcome it. Listen, Rachel, nobody's giving you a free pass. Nobody's going to make it easy for you. You should have to work hard to get a championship. But I think the Nuggets have put themselves not only in a very stable position this year, but for years to come. I think listen, I get what Matt Ishbia wanted to do. Brand new owner, bit of a spazzy guy, big time billionaire, tried to buy the Broncos, Matt Ishbia, failed in that. I get wanting to make a splash. And I think the Suns fans are going to be very, very excited. Durant's not even healthy yet, and we'll see. I think the Nuggets are fine. I think they're going to have home court. I think they're going to win the West. And I like the Nuggets with a little bit of rest. And at some point, you got to play defense too. And where exactly and how exactly are you going to steal a game for the Nuggets at home when they're putting up $120 every game? So I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. Bring it on. It should be fun. It should be a tough competition. And we got to pay attention to Dallas as well, that now they have Kyrie Irving. So I'm excited. The
True.
West all of a sudden is very, very exciting. And I think the Nuggets are still in a fine place.
All right, so D-Mac's saying, don't worry, everybody. The Nuggets are not in hot water. Take a chill pill and trust in Jokic, correct?
Yeah, I mean, trust in everything. You got the soon-to-be three-time MVP. Jamal Murray, the Blue Arrow's back. Michael Porter Jr. is playing the best of his career of late. You got KCP leading the league in three-point percentage. Bruce Brown off the bench. Christian Brown having power. And we will see what happens with Bones, Rachel. We will see. Today will be an interesting day because now you don't have to trade Bones for a player. You can trade Bones for draft picks. You just gave up 3 draft picks, second-round draft picks for Thomas Bryant. Now you could get a couple of them back if you choose to. And if you don't choose to and you want to keep Bones, okay, fine. I don't think that's a bad deal either. So it'll just, take a little work to make sure he gets back in the mix and blends in with everybody okay. But it's not the end of the world if you don't trade Bones. Not now. I mean, you made a great trade. Reed is a good dude, but he was the fringe of the fringe guys. He wasn't a developmental guy. He was a veteran guy, period. The fact that you got any value for him whatsoever is great. It doesn't upset the chemistry. And you got a more solid replacement to sub in for Jokic during the playoffs. I think it's a home run deal for the Nuggets. It feels really good. It feels well balanced. I like the move a lot. And we'll let the other guys figure out how to figure out chemistry. And I didn't even mention Aaron Gordon. That's my bad. You have a guy like Aaron Gordon. So while everybody's focused on KD, don't forget, KD's been with other superstars, Rachel. He has.
Plenty of times.
Now, he won with other superstars. He did win with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. He did do that. I don't think Booker and Paul are Curry and Thompson. How about that? I don't think they're the same guys.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, that concludes our In Hot Water presented by Bath Fitter as we move on to talk about Russell Wilson and the threes. They're struggling. A lot of negative feedback as I welcome in a very special guest who is also here in Arizona, and that is our very own Andrew Mason. All right, everybody, let's get into this because, yes, the Russell Wilson charities, they're not getting good press right now.
No.
Because they are, and it's 24.3 cents per the dollar apparently is actually going to charities, which again, not a good look at all for them. Mace, when you first heard this, how shocked were you?
Well, I wasn't exactly shocked because a lot of charities do have inefficiency. What shocked me was when our own Jake Shapiro took a look at some of the numbers from other charities of Broncos players and the degree to which they have far higher percentages of their revenues going to actually to donation than Russell Wilson's charity. I think there was something in the tax report on Russell Wilson's charity. There's a part-time worker that works 15 hours a week that's earning $66,000 for 15 hours a week. I'd love to get that kind of money for 15 hours a week, right? I mean,
thank you. Sign me up.
Yeah. So,
but again, I feel like if you work for a charity, like, I don't know, maybe this is just me. And D-Mac, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but if you're working for a charity, you're expecting to give back so much. And I know you have to make a livable income and everything like that, but for 15 hours, I think that's kind of where it's like an extra dagger and you're like, oh my gosh, like you're working for a charity. Should you really be walking away with so much more than possibly what's being given out? Am I the only one?
You're not the only one.
Listen,
okay.
Russ,
I'm not sure about $209,000 for the salary for running a charity.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Listen, man, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna do these charities, and they're nice things to do,
Yeah.
the buck has to stop with you. The buck. You didn't
I'm
have
with
to
you.
start it in the first place, but if you did, you got to pay attention to it. Here's what I think is going on with Russell Wilson, guys. There is too much clutter, way too much clutter. He just has too many things going on that actually don't matter. So I'm not telling guys
Mm-hmm.
to not have a plan after they stop playing, and I'm not telling you to not have a charity to do good things. Those are both fine things. It's great to give back, and it's great to focus on something else after you're done with your career. But Russ has put this, on hyperdrive with everything that he has. And you can understand why he's just lost touch. Guys, it's too much clutter. And now Russ, and a statement came out from his, like a spokesperson for the foundation. No bueno.
Yep.
You got to say something, Russ. I mean, your name's on it.
Mhm.
You got to say
Good
something.
point, D-Mac.
And it's okay to say, hey, I'm sorry. I will look into it. I will straighten it out. Nobody thinks Russell Wilson is crooked or steal. I don't, at least. I don't think that. I don't think he's doing something nefarious. The story came out though because he won the 2020 Walter Payton Man of the Year. So it doesn't look good. I mean, on the surface, it looks like you created a scenario to get the award. I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. But that's where the investigation came in the first place. So I think it's inherent for Russell Wilson to get him, not somebody from your charity, Russell Wilson, to come out and say something. Let me point out, too, guys, this has nothing to do with the Denver Broncos. Nothing. The vast majority of this stuff, I mean, over 95% of it happened while he was in Seattle, okay? I mean, obviously, he kept the foundation going while he was here. The Broncos have nothing to do with it. It's been a rough week for Russell Wilson, and he needs to get ahead of it. And he's already behind, guys. It's been more than 24 hours, and he should have said something by now. Even if it's just to say, I'm going to take care of it. It's on me. I'll take care of whatever the situation is. I'll dive into it. That's my opinion on it. And the numbers are the numbers. So, like, the statement from the foundation was just like, well, we do good stuff, and here's all the good stuff. We all know that.
Yeah.
It didn't deny anything.
No.
The statement didn't deny anything.
So what was that statement all about? I mean, what did that do? I'd say nothing. No, Russ needs to do something himself, but he should do it today. Something.
What's funny, D-Mac, is I actually didn't even think about Russell Wilson saying a statement, because I feel like a lot of times when we hear him talk, you're kind of like, you didn't give us anything meaningful anyways. But you're right, a joint statement from Russell Wilson and Sierra should have already been made when all of this came out. And the fact that the longer and longer it takes to, the more you look and give it a negative impact.
No Sierra with this, okay? Russell Wilson.
But it's a joint foundation.
I don't care. It's his reputation on the line here. So, enough with Sierra with stuff that he's taking the heat for. Nobody's giving Sierra any crap for this at all. I get it. I get it that they're doing it together. Russell Wilson needs to declutter, in my opinion, he needs to declutter his life and be accountable, just himself, and him. Just him, okay? I know what you're saying, Rachel. I understand it. But you just it's all about Russell Wilson. I know Sierra has her own career, and that's wonderful and all that. This is his life that's being messed with right now. He needs to be clear about something himself, in my opinion.
Okay, well, D-Mac and I can disagree. So what do you think, Mace?
I mean, it's funny that we're talking about this week details a lot, right? Because Sean Payton comes in and preaches attention to detail. What I see in this kerfuffle here is that the details have been lost and have been overlooked. And part of decluttering that is he's got to find someone that he can trust that can actually do the right thing, because clearly I think by not kind of paying attention to this, because he's got so much on his plate, something has gotten lost here, leading to an inefficiency in his charity compared to other things. Look, there's no denying he's done a lot of really good things. He legitimately earned the NFL Man of the Year award. And what he does in terms of going to the hospitals every Tuesday, he did that in Seattle, he does that in Denver. That's very real. He does a lot of good things, but clearly some of the people that he's got around him have let him down. He's got to maybe make some changes there so he can focus on the things that he needs to focus on. And yes, I agree. He needs to come out and make a statement, not doing it through his PR flack.
Yeah.
It needs to be something with his name on it, period.
Do we actually believe that there will be a statement delivered from Russell Wilson at some point today?
I know it's been suggested to him. We'll see. I don't know. It's hard to predict.
You do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we'll see.
From someone we all know?
I was like, from who?
Someone we know who's an expert in these things?
Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
How about this?
Okay,
I know he's getting the right advice. We'll see what he does.
Yes, he is.
100%. Okay.
From one person in particular.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. I would do this again. Anyways, we will move on because Mace had a wonderful conversation with a former running back for the Denver Broncos who is now a part of the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad, and that is Melvin Gordon. And Mace, I know, well, first of all, a star running back ends up as the practice running back, could possibly get a Super Bowl ring, but that's not exactly how you want to win your Super Bowl ring. You want to actually be playing in the game. But when he went to the Chiefs, he was expecting to, hey, I might actually be able to play.
Yeah, he had some other possibilities, but he chose the Chiefs for two reasons. One, they did have a good chance at the Super Bowl, but another, he thought he was going to be a part of it. Well, we see Cecil Lammy's favorite running back from last year's draft, Isaiah Pacheco.
Yep.
And Jerick McKinnon lighting it up. Jerick McKinnon in particular, remember, he burned the Broncos back in December at Mile High, and he earns, AFC Offensive Player of the Month.
Yep.
They're healthy. They're productive. There was no room for Melvin Gordon to kind of move up and get playing time, so he hasn't played a snap. And so yesterday, at the media setup that each team has, every player gets at least a table, okay? Some get podiums, but even like every player on the 53-player roster gets a table.
Yeah.
But the practice squad players, some of them get chairs, some of them don't. He was sitting on a chair in the corner. He was just kind of going through his phone, just nobody was talking to him. And so I just walked up, said hello. We had a 20-minute conversation and talked a little about how things went down in Denver. And it was interesting because he said he didn't really want to bash the Broncos and all that, but when he talked about the Chargers game in particular, he bashed his position coach Tyrone Wheatley, because that of course was the game where he got pulled effectively. He was running a lot in the first half and then didn't run the second half. And so as Melvin tells it, I'll just read the quote here. I had asked my coach, hey, did I do something wrong? That's all I asked. I said, did I do something wrong? And then he just had a temper tantrum, and then I was not playing the rest of the game. And then people thought, oh, well, he's just a selfish player, and that was never even the case, but I have to sit there and accept that. That was just a small fraction of what I was dealing with.
A temper tantrum.
Saying Tyrone Wheatley, now who moved on, now he's coaching Wayne State University in Michigan, had a temper tantrum in Melvin Gordon's mind, which is why Melvin wasn't playing the second half against the Chargers. And after that, guys, is when there was the meeting between Melvin Gordon and Nathaniel Hackett and George Payton. And then he was the first team running back going forward. He was the first player out there. But Latavius was still getting more work. He also, Melvin kind of made the point, hey, they kept bringing in people. They bring in Marlon Mack. They trade for Chase Edmonds. Basically, he knew that they were looking for an excuse to get him out of there. And then when he offered up that fumble against the Raiders in Week 12, that was
the
it.
final straw.
Week 11, that was it. Yeah.
I think it's funny, temper tantrum, that obviously stands out because when you think of a temper tantrum, you think of like a toddler. But we've also learned how dysfunctional the Broncos coaching staff actually was behind the scenes. Yeah. So now hearing this, it doesn't surprise me at all, D-Mac.
Melvin Gordon, I always loved talking to Melvin Gordon because he would try to he always would be a little reserved, and then he couldn't help himself. And he would blurt out.
He just gets going.
Yep.
Yeah, and he kind of says, well, I don't want to say anything. And if you just pause and wait a second, he'll just say whatever he was very forthright about it.
He can't help turning the faucet on, D-Mac, ever. Like, he likes to, and then, and everything
So-
just spews out. Like some of his replies to me yesterday were Rossbergian in their length.
Oh wow.
Russ
Also, I
Bergen.
love that so much.
Yeah. So you know what's crazy? I always liked Melvin Gordon. Like, I always thought he was a cool dude to talk to. Is he the most self-aware guy? Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, he did throw in, it was great by you, Mace, to go track him down. I mean, I had no idea there was a subset below the tables in terms of denigration in media days. I never even thought of the practice. And then you said there's guys that have stools, and then there's another subset below them that don't even get a stool off to the side.
Yeah, at least Melvin got a chair.
True.
Yeah, I mean,
Poor Melvin.
I never really went deeper than the round tables in terms of embarrassment for media days. So, okay, fine. Listen, he did acknowledge that, okay, I did fumble, and that's what cost me. I mean, at least he did say
Mhm.
He did.
Yeah.
listen, it was a mess. I don't know. You know, as things go, of course, a team that's 5-12 guys, really very close to 4-13. Of course, it's a mess. You know, you don't get there without being a mess unless you are truly a rebuilding team, right? And even then, it's probably a little bit of a mess. So none of this surprises me. There's everybody that he's talking about is gone. You know, Tyrone Wheatley's gone. The Broncos' offensive coaches are gone. The head coach is gone. Everybody's gone. So it's another weird moment of like, well, do we really care or not? Like, okay, fun to find out, but I mean, does any of it really matter?
I mean, yeah, it's fair to say our coaches from last year even going to be back because we've already seen, for example, Peter Hansen, who coached linebackers. He's headed to the Carolina Panthers. They're not bringing their outside linebackers coach back. They're not even going to bring back Mike Munchak from the previous year because Zach Streif's going to coach the offensive line coming over from New Orleans. I mean, you're starting to see the pieces fall in place. I'm not sure that very many pieces are going to be left from this past year. Actually, strangely enough, the coach most likely to return to the staff could be Jerry Rossberg.
Which is crazy to kind of think about.
Do you think they get rid of Zach Azzani?
That's a good question because he is now. I mean, he has survived 2 coaching changes, right? Because he came aboard with Vance Joseph in BJ's second year.
Yeah.
Survived to Vic Fangio. Survived to Nathaniel Hackett. We know players think highly of him, so he could stay as well.
He's got a shot. He's got a shot.
He's got he's probably got beyond Rossberg. Like if they just keep him, he's probably got the best shot of the position coaches on the staff to stay. I'm not sure anybody else among the position coaches has a really good shot. Christian Parker's an interesting candidate as well, but Parker may also elect to go join Ejiro Evero with the Carolina Panthers. It sounds like Evero's taking a bunch of coaches from last year's defensive staff and going to Carolina, where they're basically starting fresh with a new head coach as well.
Do you think we'll hear about Sean Desai today?
Good question. I don't know if we're going to hear about Desai kind of a confirmation today. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we hear a bunch of hires coming down early next week after the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's
we also know Sean Payton.
Yeah, Sean Payton's there
here.
with you guys. He's at your good fair point because he's actually shaking his moneymaker in Phoenix.
He's doing all the stuff over Zoom. Yeah.
So okay,
I don't think we will hear anything.
Some of these deals may be done, but they're just going to wait until Sean gets back. So maybe some of these things actually are in the bank already. That actually makes way more sense. He's kind of doing business. He's taking care of things on Zoom, and we'll hear about it next week. Actually, that makes way more sense, all things considered.
Yeah, there's probably a little more urgency on the defensive side because they let Evero go, and Evero is now like, okay, well, I want to have Coach X, Coach Y, coaches.
And of course, all those coaches appreciate Evero and what he was able to do, so they're going to probably.
Hey, let me tell you this:
if they get the chance, I think they would all go work for Coach E.
What a great week for Greg Penner to go play golf. I mean, just everything's working. I just want to encourage Greg to. I mean, what's happening down in Augusta? See what's happening down there. Maybe get around in the Cayman Islands or something. I mean, hey, maybe the Catalina Wine Mixer is having an event this weekend. I mean, I just want to encourage Greg to just
Why
live
not?
his best life, unencumbered, far from my judgment.
There you go.
Well, that's what he can do now. When you've got someone that you can trust to mind the store,
there you go.
You don't have to
You don't have to
micromanage.
do that.
And again, this is why you got to have the right people that you can trust. If Russell Wilson had the right people that were running the charity in a more efficient manner, he wouldn't be having to deal with this stuff today. It's important to have the right people involved. And so this is where Sean Payton does Greg Penner and the Broncos a huge service, because he's got enough skins on the wall, as his fellow former Giants assistant John Fox would say.
Mm-hmm.
He can that, and he's seen before that Penner can just say, "All right, I trust you, do it." And it's one of the reasons why Peyton liked the job as well, because Penner's just gonna write the check for everything. Okay, Sean, you need that? Need those extra crowd chambers? Great, here you go.
Yep.
Spend.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I think we've all, as human beings, been in this situation. Why don't we? Why don't we throw things away and declutter our closets that we all know we could do better with? Why don't we do that?
I've actually been doing that this past winter. I have taken the jump to declutter everything because I'm sick of having the extra baggage and making my life harder.
So why
I'm starting to do that.
Why did it take so long, Rachel, for you to do that?
Because you always think you might be able to use it at some point in the future. Like, okay, here's this shirt that I haven't worn in a while, but there might come a point where I need that, right? So I'm going to hang on to it. Next thing you know, your closet is just overflowing.
Yep.
This past year, I couldn't get through my closet. I had too much stuff, and I've started bits and pieces.
All the time. And two, you're always like, maybe one day when I start working out 5 days a week, I'll be able to fit back into this and it'll look really good. So I'll never find the shirt again. It never ends up happening. I never wear the shirt again, and that's that.
I actually did. The one thing I did keep was a box of stuff for if I lose the weight that I'm trying to lose this off season, so I can be ready to do the Man 2 incline.
But listen,
I've actually got some stuff.
One
box. That's it. One box.
Imagine if those weren't clothes. Imagine if each piece of extra clothes was a commitment to something else, a commitment of time. And that, I think, is exactly what Russell Wilson has gathered in his life. He has just a cluttered closet, not of clothes, because he looks great. He's a fashionista. He has a closet clutter of commitment. And it's just difficult to say, what of these? It's really tough, because what of these things that I throw away? Because he has human beings who may have livelihoods depending on those things that he's committed to. So it's not that easy of a choice. There are more significant consequences. And as difficult as it may be, it's time to throw away that shirt. And you know what? Get rid of the box of clothes that you may fit in. If you lose the weight, okay, great.
Go buy yourself new ones. Treat yourself.
Yes, get rid of it. Get new stuff. Reward yourself. Don't try to hang on to something, okay? It's not that special.
Jake Heaps is a shirt that just needs to go to Goodwill then at this point.
Maybe not. You know, we talked to Brock Heward yesterday, and he was insistent Jake Heaps is not going anywhere. I mean, Jake Heaps may be that important, but
he just won't be in the building, but he's not going anywhere.
Guys, he has a million other things. He needs to declutter his closet of commitment.
Okay, I like it.
So one chef instead of two?
How about no chefs? Seriously. How about you cook for yourself?
Okay, listen, if you can afford a chef, we're all going to get chefs. Let's not take the chef out of this.
That's the problem. He can afford everything. When you have so much money, you really seriously can afford one of everything. You're going to have too many things. So, listen, again, I'm not trying to cost anybody their jobs, but just cut back at the minimum and likely get rid of certain things too. I mean, guys, did he have to have the most expensive house ever bought in Denver? Does he have to have like a whole video crew and social media team? What is going on with all of his other businesses? I mean, you know, is he giving too much over to his agent, Mark Rogers? It feels like it, you know, and I don't know who's involved with this foundation. And then you have Sierra too, and all of her needs and all the things that she has. Maybe it's time to just part ways with things that you guys are too intermingled with, okay? I mean, do you really need to run the clothing store at Park Meadows Mall together? Really? Do you have to be involved with that? I mean, dude, you have a very short period of time, maybe 4 years, where anybody cares about you ever again, okay? I hate to keep it real. Because once Russell Wilson is done with football, nobody's going to care about this dude, all right? You see
Unless
Tom
he goes into
Brady.
broadcasting, like he's got to do something like Tom Brady
Mhm.
or Peyton Manning.
Guys,
Although him talking would ruin it.
Yeah.
Tom Brady was so starved for attention, he posed in his underwear the other day. I mean, Tom,
All right.
get a freaking life. I mean, you don't. It's like, what void in your life do you need to fill with posing in your underwear? And I think it's because he's got an underwear company. It's
Yeah.
it's foolishness. It's silliness. It's
True.
stuff that you do to just make yourself feel better, and it's not productive. So some advice from somebody who's been around the block a little bit to Russell Wilson: chill out, dude. You got 4 years left, maybe four, maybe 1 year left
Yeah,
of significance.
that's another thing because this year, hey, he's got $37 million riding on this year. Because if he doesn't perform, that's the out next year before the fifth day of the league year, and then $37 million that would have been guaranteed, it's gone.
Yeah,
So
true.
he's got a lot of money riding on this year that he won't see a dime of if he plays the way he did in 2022.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Russell Wilson is in hot water presented by Bath Bear. We're going to do that tomorrow because I know DMAC can rant for as long as we possibly need. On that Tom Brady underwear thing, I think he was mimicking Gronk or something. Like I saw a tweet about that, and we saw Gronk here today.
With an entourage.
With his whole entourage wearing a very bright green suit. So
Hey, listen, guys, when you're done, have as many entourage people as you want. Who cares? I mean,
just when you're playing, you can't?
listen, you have an entourage. It's your coaches, it's your trainers, it's your teammates. That is your entourage. You don't need an entourage as an NFL player. You have a PR staff with the team. You have a huge entourage. It's called your organization and your team. You don't need a million other people. You don't.
Okay.
You really don't.
Well, maybe I can be Mace's entourage tonight because he's going to the NFL honors. So I'm going to try and sneak in with him to go to the honors. I can be an entourage. I'll have the phone and I'll follow Mace around. No one will yell at me.
Follow me to the media room and they're covering the Hall of Fame stuff because that's where my credentials.
What did you guys do last night?
I explored Old Town Scottsdale, which was very cool, very pretty. We went to STK, the restaurant, and we found out that Debo Samuel was eating there and someone else. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but some people were just chilling at the bar hanging out. You never know who you're going to see out here.
I was over in downtown Tempe. By the way, I introduced myself to the world of electric scooters last night. I'd never done one of those rental scooters, so I got one of those bird scooters.
Nice.
And I'm doing the John Elway thing, and I'm just scooting through downtown Tempe. Found a little taco shop, had some tacos, and had a margarita, and just had a nice night. Yes. Downtown Tempe is really cool, by the way. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
That's how I feel about Scottsdale.
Dude, what street were you on? I mean, I can tell you all about my son lived off Farmer. Just from I know downtown Tempe. Trust me.
Oh, looks like Siri interrupted you real quick, D-Mac.
Okay.
But
I know downtown Tempe like the back of my hand. You can tell me the name of places. I can tell you the name of the street. Trust me, I know downtown Tempe.
I might have to ask you for recommendations.
Mace, I'll give you a fitness challenge in Tempe.
Okay.
Climb to the top of the A at Arizona State in Tempe. That's a nice little hill. It's a good little challenge. Get some great little steps in. Send us a picture from the top of the A at ASU if you're talking about downtown Tempe. And it only takes about 20 minutes. It's not that hard, but you'll feel it a little bit.
I'll do. You know what? That'll be my thing that I do tomorrow morning.
Boom.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Boom. All right. That's going to do it for Coffee Break today, presented by Bath Better. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. To Jake, awesome Nuggets talk. I appreciate it. D-Mac, as always, a pleasure. And Mace, I'm happy to have you here in Arizona.
It's been
fun.
Good to do this. Yeah.
It has been an absolute blast. But We are going to be doing 3 prop shops tomorrow, you guys. 3 of them to get you ready for the big game. So definitely make sure you come hang out with us right here on Coffee Break, again presented by Bath Litter. We will see you all tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful Thursday. Bye, everybody. Peace.